Welcome back to season 5 of Time to Change. I'm Chasen Forehand.
And I'm Dom Jones. We have some amazing conversations lined up from people doing the work. I'm excited for those and the change that it'll hopefully spark.
I can't wait to jump in. So let's get started. Welcome to Time to Change. I am Chasen Forehand.
And I am Dom Jones.
And today we are speaking to my buddy, Dr. Truong in the house. She is the founder of KN Health Consulting. How do you approach that consulting, whether you're talking to an individual or you're talking to the leadership team? How do you start to create that change?
I think for me, anyways, is that I have lived my own experience of what burnout is about. So not only have I been on the other side in an organization or big Fortune company, but also on the other side as the administrative team to also witness staff members who gone to their own burnout and also mental well-being and the result of it. What happens if we don't really help our people? What would our business struggles? And that is like you've seen it all and you've seen it firsthand, and that is the most powerful experience, not only learning from others but firsthand experience. So that is how I see it, and I walk and I want to be there and guide others. Jason.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I love relative to that. And first, hello, Dr. Neil. Thank you personally for being here. Um, I would love for you to share, for those that may not be as familiar with the work that you do, can you tell us a bit about how you serve in the area of health and wellness for organizations?
Well, thank you, Dom, and it is very nice to not only meet you here on interaction with the three of us, and for those who are also getting to know it. My original background is always in the health and wellness, but for me, it's not just a physical body. It's not just our, mind body of a symptom that we put a band-aid, but on well-being on a workplace also is incorporating the mind, body, soul, and spiritual in the mental well-being, and that's emotional, mental health, and that has to also it's a lot of silo. It's a lot of in a healthcare professional, we don't talk about it when we go into a doctor's visit, right? How often do they really ask you, how are you doing? Like, what's going on beside your symptom? When, if it's your wife, if it's your husband, if it's your kids, your social, financial, other factors that affect our well-being. And that is really the untap of a lot of workplace, because mental health is such an important topic and it's not going away, right?
Mhm.
And it is so crucial that we get to know one another on what triggers a staff member or a colleague, because it could be something, whether it's a recent storm, right? But if it's maybe they dealt with it as a kid, or maybe that it's carried over, or if they gone to a massive shooting or others scenario. But if things around the pop up, recent things that come up in the news, if it's near or far, it also impact their mental well-being, and that is something that affects their physical and well-being into their workplace. And I believe that we have to change the narrative of saying you have to leave what's personal out the door and come back. When you walk in work, you got to be a different new or a different Dharma, a different Jason. It cannot be. It have to be as a whole. We have to look at a person in holistic, and that is for me holistic approaches. How do we serve and how we get our employee, our staff, our colleague is to work together and really strengthen the weakness, or if it, the activation, the triggers, whatever that the word that is associated, but it's really is to be there to support them so that we can give them the best tools to thrive. When we call it the powwow or like the team huddle, right? That we all have at work, is if we infuse a little bit of the mindfulness or the guided meditations, but it's very simple. You don't need a expensive, there's no tools that you need, but you can also get to know and really help alleviate the stress and bring them into more calm and peace. And that is, it's being able to get back to who we are as, all the noise, like we have our monkey minds, we have the hat that we wear. Like for instance, Jason's probably HR, but he also have is the husband cap, right? Is my wife okay? Is, I got to do this and that. It's all the things that come into one moment, not just mention a day, but so much going on. But if we're able to be mindfully into the present moment and not worry about the past, and not too worry and really project into, I need to plan for the future. Too much of it, you forget all the things that you have at the moment. And that is being able to not only be aware of all the thoughts and things that come to you without judging. And that is the mindfulness and truly in all the essence. And I just noticed, I was like, how come a lot of people don't really talk about it? That's make it simple for people, because people think of mindfulness or the meditation is like you have to be at church, at temple. I used to think that way too. I used to think that, we have to be able to practice, go in the mountain, go in the excluded, where you don't hear noises, you don't hear things that bother us. But it's really, we can train ourselves so that way we can deal with stress, and we can re-regulate our brain and our central nervous system, so that way we can also deal with stressful moments. And work, we deal with stress so many times, right? And that is something I think we can elevate and also kind of strengthen our muscle. It's like our mental fitness in a way that we can deal with anything, the storm that come through, and we can make decision more calmly. And Jason is the guy to not only elevate and help spread the awareness on why it's so important to treat people first over profit. Because if you treat people first, then they're the one who's going to also run and be there to support your company for your vision and the mission, because you help them. It's not about a statement on the wall. It's not about just say it. It has to be a movement that they felt from their heart, their soul, that they well-being is important, not just because it's in the dollar sign. And that, I think the mental well-being is, when you worry about their mental health, you're going to see so much worth of the investment on your people, your employee. Because when they are down and sick and ill, what does it take to not only hire a replacement or like a supporting staff if they fall ill, right? So that is something that we all have to take care of when it's you see sign of burnout, or you sign things that they're not really enjoying their work. You have to get to know your people. Then you know why, right? Not because you wait until last resort. You have to get to know your people.
Related to the point you were just mentioning, um, I personally think that we have come a long way in being able to have these types of conversations more and more. Um, in some cases, in the workplace, you're starting to see more openness, and you're starting to see companies invest in mental health programs as part of like their benefit offerings. That said, nevertheless, there still, in my opinion, is a bit of stigma and hesitation of an employee saying, hey, I feel burnt out, or this is too much, or I'm struggling. So, for the leaders who are conscious of creating environments where mental health and wellness is prioritized, can you share a few more practical tips for leaders to lean in? As an example, what should they look for to flag, like, hey, some of my team members may be struggling in this area, and what are some of the things that they should be focused on doing to support them?
Oh, good questions. Thank you, Dom. And one of the things I love the movement of that we seeing the wave, like you mentioned about that corporate wellness program has evolved. It's some of the organization have makes initiative to really help their staff. But one of the things, like you mentioned, is that the gap is that not just helping their staff, oh, this is something that you need to go see because you so and so, but it's a process that you have to raise awareness, and it's within the system. And as the managers, as the leaders, would have to know what it means when an employees or a staff or even themselves what are some keys of burnout, right? And those are the things that you want to get to know, because um, like when you see, like for instance, you see new, when normally her energy level is like at a certain level, but then all suddenly she drop and she feeling fatigue all the time. She doesn't have that, like, and it also manifests in the illness, like keep on having headaches, or if their stomach, like GI problem, right? Those also is manifest as a symptom of burnout. But also in a way, like if you see someone reduce performance, like if Dom or New is always, they're high achiever, they make it, but all of a sudden they drop their performance. Something is odd, something that you notice. And then in the physical, they're having more pain, muscle pain, back pain, other that are seeing that are non-physical, or not nothing that makes them injured. They also have the feeling of the failure and anxiety, or if they feel depressed, like they have clues that maybe they say, I'm not really, I don't have appetite. I'm losing my appetite of food to eat. I can't sleep well. If they tell you, hey, I'm not sleeping well, I'm having just not able to sleep well, and I get up in the middle of the night. There's ways that also detach, like if they go to work and they're not really feeling part of the community. Like if they're, let's say we all here in HR for you, we're all supporting, and all of a sudden you just go back, and I'm going sit in the back and don't really interact much, and don't have much enthusiasm. It's detachment of your worth. And also that's also a sign of burnout. But also, those are really, like loss of enthusiasm for work, right? We all see that people very excited to go work. Good morning, how are you? And then all of a sudden, like, you don't see any of that anymore. You
Yeah.
see them change. They're exhausted because they are just keep going the grind, right? And that is where they have things that are subconsciously. They also have mood swing. They can have mood fluctuation. So those are the things that I think we can tap into to see why they're a certain way and get to know them, not calling them out. Why are you underperforming and you're not doing so and so? But maybe there's something that is underlying that they are lacking, or not saying lacking, but it's calling out for help. But it's manifest in that symptoms is what I see in my view. Does that really help?
Yeah, tremendously. You laid out a lot of really practical ways that leaders can identify signs of burnout or mental distress in their team. Which, the role of a manager has evolved so much
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
workplace today, and I think taking to a degree some responsibility for the well-being of your team is important for every manager and leader um, to be aware of. And what you just shared, I think, helps to increase that awareness. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
love that. Love that, and love having you on the show as always.
Yeah.
Grateful for you being here. And let's give it up one more time for Dr. New. Thank you for being in the conversation. You are so right that it's so needed. And we have appreciated having you on the show, Dr. New. I am Chasen Forehand,
And I am Dom Jones.
and you have been on Time to Change.